Hello, it is December, Christmas is nearly here. It's the last chance I'll probably get now till after Christmas to come down to the plot. And I thought it'd be really fun to just have a think about what we've actually achieved on the plot this year. It's the first year on the plot. I'm already thinking plans for next year. So I thought before I start thinking about what I want to do next year, it'll actually be quite good to think what it was like when we actually first took over the plot and what we've actually managed to do this year since we took it on. So as I'm doing my little bits down here, I thought it might be quite fun to just take a look back and have a think about what we've done. So one of the first things we did when we came down here is we just completely cleared the plot. So this here is our plot. So it starts here, goes up to this corner. So that's our line down there. This shed came with the plot. And then it goes right the way up to this corner and around. So if I stand like this, you can see the next thing we did is we started covering the plot. So we used whatever we had to cover the plot. We used some old black fabric that I had. We used some cardboard that we'd collected. Anything that we could find to cover it to suppress any weeds. That's what we used. So I'm just planting these snowdrops. These were 25p, so if they don't come up, it's not at the end of the world, but I hope they do. This area, we've just put some black landscape fabric over that corner and the rest of the cardboard over this one, so hopefully that just suppresses some of the weeds from coming through. So we started sectioning off the plot and we started working in really small sections and just getting a bit done at a time. So the first bit that we really started doing was this end bit here. And this was the first bit that we covered with cardboard and then we covered it with wood chip. And then we started adding some pallet collars to it. So this was the first section that we actually sort of got buttoned up. We flattened it completely. This was a big hill here, so it's been flattened, covered with manure and then cardboard, and then we've got 4 pallet collars just ready to go. So that is now covered in wood chip. The next thing we did was so exciting for me, and I remember feeling so excited that I'd actually planted something on the plot, and that was my rhubarb. And I remember there being absolutely nothing here. It was just I think there was a lot of weeds on there. There was nothing here at all. I think this was all still bare ground. We hadn't started putting any wood chip down at all. And I think I went to the front of the plot and I found some something to just section a piece off to make sort of a bed, and then I weeded it and I planted my rhubarb in. And I remember that being such a good feeling that I'd sort of like hole punched that part and I'd actually got something planted in the ground. The front. So this is in the middle, gets a lot of sun, and I only need a small area. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dig all this out. And I'm just going to plant them. The next thing we did is we actually rotavated quite a lot of the middle area of the plot. One of our allotment neighbours offered us a use of the rotavator, and we weren't going to use one, but the ground was so uneven, and there was so much plastic and things in there, and we were trying to get it all up. It actually worked really well. It did really even off the ground. So that it doesn't fly away. The whole of this area, covered it all with cardboard, started to add the wood chip, and the we carried on just covering each part of the allotment so that when we were doing one part, the other part wasn't still getting overgrown with weeds. And I think that really did help, actually, just sectioning it off and doing bit by bit. It wasn't too overwhelming, and we actually did get there. One of the next things Vince did was he made some pallet compost bins, and he did them just with some pallets that we picked up from here. There, some of them were at the front of the plot that get delivered here, others he got from work. This bed here was one of the first beds that I actually put anything into, and it was really late in the season and I wasn't sure if it was going to be successful, but I planted sweet corn, and actually I got a really good sweet corn harvest out of that. So that was a really good success story from planting late in the season. Beans, climbing French beans, the sweet corn that I bought that I planted from seed, and I've just put in some. That one looks quite good as well. Okay. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Oh wow. So the Polytunnel went up on one of the hottest days of the year, and I remember I was sat here in the shade underneath the tree, and poor Vince was out in the absolute direct sunshine in the heat, putting up this polytunnel. I started some in-ground beds as well, so that was these two here. So this was one of the last areas that we actually did cover up. We used wood chip, cardboard. I did sow some borage and some green manure into these two beds, and they were successful actually. We did have a lot of borage come up, and the green manure we cut down and used in the compost. The 3 new beds, wood chip paths, ready for next year. So my green manure has gone absolutely mad, so that's good. These 4 pallet collars here were the next things to go down, and I direct sowed beetroot, radish, kale, which has now completely died a death in the frost, what was left of it anyway. We have had a really hard frost here. In this bed I had mooly radish, I had dwarf French beans, I think. So these beds were actually really full for part of the growing season, and I did get a good harvest out of them. Is radishes to harvest. It's not bad, is it? Okay, so I've got some dwarf French beans that are ready as well. It's the mooly radish, which I'm really excited about. Oh, that one looks good as well. It looks fab. Vince made these brassica cages out of plumbing pipe, and then we just put the netting over them. So I think that was really good for the first year. We can cover these, so really pleased with them. So this shed was actually over beyond the back of this tree here somewhere originally. This was moved back into the corner. One of the reasons we wanted it in that corner was so that it didn't cast any shadows. And then we added this wildlife pond. That is going to be sunken down into the ground a bit. That's one of our next projects. But yeah, that was one of the things that we added to the plot. Building. He's just placing some bricks and things at the side. Where any wildlife can get in and out happily. I then started planting and preparing for coming years. So I started an asparagus bed, which I won't have much from for the next couple of years, but after that, that should be really, hopefully really successful. I planted garlic. I planted some spring cabbage. All in all, when I look back on this year, it's gone so quick and it feels like we've always had an allotment, but we haven't, and we've actually accomplished quite a lot in this short time. And looking back just really makes you appreciate, you know, what hard work can do, and just chipping away at something can really make a difference. I mean, if you'd have come to this plot a few months ago, well, in May or June when we took over the plot, there was absolutely nothing here. It was absolutely covered in weeds. You couldn't see any bare ground, and I feel like that's such an achievement, and I feel really proud that we have managed to achieve all of this year. Okay, so I don't think there's anything left to say now apart from have an absolutely amazing Christmas, whatever you're doing. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.